Atika, I want to put the picture back up of the two suspects that police say, according to their latest bulletin, are still at large. Is much known about them at this point? I mean, I know there are conflicting reports out there about whether or not they had some sort of training or experience fighting in Syria. There have been a number of kind of conflicting reports about them. What do we know for sure at this point?
What we know for sure is that Sharif Kouachi in particular does have a long record of run-ins with the law. He's been imprisoned already in 2008, particularly for recruiting Islamists to go to Iraq, for example. So this is somebody who had a long rap sheet, but we don't know whether or not he had traveled overseas, what kind of experience he may have had with weapons. But it does appear that he was running in those sort of extremist circles. Now, we know less about his brother, Saeed Kouachi, but we do know that Sharif Kouachi did spend time in prison, and this is a big issue here in France because the prisons are really where a lot of this radicalization has occurred. A number of the attacks have been carried out by suspects who spent time in the prison system exposed to some of the most extreme forms of this Islamist extremism. So this is what we know at this point, but we are still waiting for confirmation from French authorities for more background on both of them, specifically whether or not they traveled to Syria or Iraq recently.
And that he was put on trial, I think it was 2008, for trying to encourage others to go overseas to Iraq and to try to go himself. I think he was sentenced to 18 months, but he had already served time while awaiting trial, so he didn't actually do any extra prison time, as I've read.
Well, this is somebody who is sort of in and out of the prison system. I mean, in the court, in the trial, he actually described himself as a bit of a delinquent, as somebody who is always having run-ins with the law, but found this sort of extreme version of Islam that he followed and was further exposed to within the prison system. So this is something that French authorities are now looking to, if he was radicalized this way and if he did travel. This is one of the key components because it does appear that there was more planning, organization, the fact that they did have heavy weapons. It looks like AK-47s in the video and had flak jackets. The questions are now, where did they get those materials, those weapons, and did they get training? If so, where did they get that training?
Yeah, Atika Schubert, appreciate that. We'll continue to check in with you again. This manhunt, according to police, still underway at this hour.